Hi there, my name's Molly and I'm the founder of Molly's Meals, which is a daily delivery meal service that's free to any elderly and vulnerable residents within Kenilworth that need a hot home cooked meal every day. So I started the service back in March before the lockdown officially started, and my reasoning for this was I knew with shops shutting and with cafes closing down that the people that would be most negatively affected during this would be the people who couldn't get out and the people who couldn't cook fresh meals for themselves. So I started cooking the meals myself and delivering them round to anyone who had asked to be on their list or who was referred from the COVID-19 group or from their children or neighbours. And I was cooking it myself, delivering it round, and then eventually I started to get offers of people who wanted to help, so people who wanted to cook or drive. And now we're 13 and a half weeks later, and I've got a team of about 15 volunteers who do the cooking, do the delivery driving, and it's a more smooth system now where the meals get picked up directly from the cooks, delivered round, and they follow a list that's been safeguarded, so no names or contact details are on there, just the address and any dietary requirements. And the reason I really started it was because I knew that there'd be a lot of people during this time who not only could they not get to the shops, they couldn't get their own ingredients, but even those who, even if they could get that themselves, wouldn't necessarily be able to cook themselves meals. So lots of widows and lots of elderly men living by themselves. And it wasn't an issue of not being able to afford the meals, which is why I made it free. It was more a case of they needed access to something that was nutritious and was home cooked, instead of lots of them relying on things like toast, tinned foods and ready meals that they were just defrosting. So that's the reason I started it. I fundraised the money at the beginning, so I raised about £2,500 through my Just Giving page. I was featured in the Economist, and I was on BBC Radio. I had a promotional video done with ICS, the voluntary group that I volunteered with last year, and that video got over 175,000 views, which obviously then boosted the volunteers and boosted the money that was coming in. So at the beginning I had lots of help from local organisations and food businesses that were shutting, so I was getting their fresh produce that was going to go to waste, and the same with Fair Share from Waitrose, Aubrey Allen in Leamington and Chase Lane Farm. So I was able to keep it local and make sure that any food that would have been going to waste is actually put to good use. So that's why I started it, when I started it. So my current role within Molly's Meals is now actually not cooking, not delivering, but more oversight of the volunteers. So I have 8 people who are cooking, 7 people who are doing the deliveries, and a couple that go to bookers and buy the list of ingredients that I get sent from the cooks. So my role is more oversight, just making sure it runs smoothly day to day. It's not difficult at all. It's more making sure the volunteers get what they need in terms of ingredients and Tupperware and the list of residents, the most up-to-date version. And then the same with the residents, they all have my contact details, so if anyone was having any issues, they could contact me, just expressing anything that they need. So my day-to-day role is literally just making sure everything goes as smoothly as possible. And some of the success stories that we've had have actually been, we had one gentleman who lived in Walsall Common by himself, and it was only through the day-to-day contact with him that I was able to see he was deteriorating mentally a little bit, and he wasn't physically as well as he had been previously. And it was only from seeing him physically every single day that I realised there was something going on that was maybe wrong behind the scenes, and I managed to reach out to his son and daughter, and it was only through that they found out that he had a brain tumour. So he currently then went straight into hospital, and he's now in a care home. The same with, we had an elderly gentleman that was referred to us who really wasn't doing very well. He was actually on the verge of being suicidal. He had a lot of negative thoughts. He was physically ill, he'd lost his wife recently, and it was through the day-to-day contact with him of just looking forward to meeting someone who delivers the meals, getting something that was fresh and home cooked, that actually his health's got a lot better, his mental health, and then we've had a lot of support with the COVID-19 group with helping him and lots of other people like him. Thank you.
We started cooking for Molly's meals the week before Easter.
Neither of us had ever worn face masks or gloves whilst cooking before.
We were missing some things though. In the absence of a chef's hat, I had to use a tea towel on my head.
Getting used to catering for so many people, especially during a pandemic, was challenging but also a lot of fun. Soups have been the most straightforward dishes to prepare. They also provide a good, balanced source of nourishment.
Soup for 30 people can be prepared in less than 2 hours, including the time it takes to wash up and put things away. It's really rewarding to watch all of the ingredients come together into a finished meal ready for 30 people.
Once the soup is ready, it is time to put it into plastic pots. It needs a steady hand.
Preparing shepherd's pie for 30 people takes significantly longer because you have to prepare the meat sauce, the mashed potatoes, and the vegetables to go on the side. In total, it can take between 4 and 6 hours, including the time it takes to put it into the pots.
Following Molly's advice, we kept to traditional favourites such as cottage pie, shepherd's pie, sausage casserole and fish pie.
We've been part of Molly's Meals for 11 weeks now. During that time, we've prepared over 500 dinners. We've also met some amazing people, from other cooks to shoppers to delivery drivers and people who help with the washing up and help to take Molly's vision out into the community.